welcome to Next Level Conversations. I am Shawnte, your host, and I am glad you guys are joining us on this evening. Here at Next Level, we are equipping women with actionable tools that they can use to transform their life. What we do is we share stories of women who have successfully managed challenging situations, and our hope is that you yourself will feel inspired, encouraged, uplifted as you find balance in chaos. What we have been doing, and I know that you guys are seeing that we're in a different place on tonight. In the next couple of weeks, we are going to be talking about overcoming negativity and creating a positive environment for change. And so, in order to get started with that, because life is constantly changing and moving. And before we started with that, with our talk about overcoming negativity, I figured we'll have us a test run and actually use something actionable in life to help us pivot, as we're going to be talking about tonight, and overcome a situation and move and make it grow and work in our favor. So, one of the pillars that we're going to be talking about as far as overcoming negativity and creating a positive environment is pivoting. What better way to start all of that by having a situation and doing something different? And that's exactly what we did on tonight with Next Level. We normally broadcast from our studio, but there was some things going on. So we decided that we were going to pivot. And what exactly is pivot? What does pivot mean? Pivot means to completely change the way throwing things at us. Life is always moving and adjusting. There is always stuff going on. And the way that we handle the things that is going on in our life is going to be dependent upon how well we adjust, how well we move, how well we change when things are happening. Because no matter how bad we want things to stay the same, they do not. Things do not stay the same. They are constantly changing. So tonight, we're going to be discussing how to pivot and how to grow forward, not backwards. Now, y'all know that I love stories. So what I want to talk about, I want to tell you guys a story. I'm a plant mom. I am. I love plants, or I didn't always like plants, but I now have fallen absolutely positively in love with plants. And I have a big wisteria, and her name is Bella. And I've had her for a few years, and I really didn't know that I could grow plants, but apparently Bella has proved me wrong. And the thing about Bella, Bella is huge. She has just been growing in her own world, and she's been doing her own thing, and it really excites me. And in my house where Bella is situated, I have a lot of natural light. So she just absorbs light. And because she absorbs the light, she just grows and she grows and she grows. And so she went from a little tiny plant to this huge plant that's almost taken up one whole half of my wall. Well, a few weeks ago, well, probably a few months ago, I got a little, you know how life just be doing things and you decide, okay, I need a change. And so I decided to make a change. And when I decided to change my living room around, I moved Bella from her spot where she was getting nothing but light. And I moved her to another corner. And this particular corner, you could still get light, but she wasn't eating and absorbing the same amount of light as she normally had been getting from the spot that I had been growing her in. And I was kind of worried, because moving plants around and having them adjust is not always the best thing. And sometimes they can get in their feelings. And I was really concerned that Bella was going to get into her feelings. And so she's in this corner, and I began to watch her over the next few days because I didn't want her to die. So I wanted to be monitoring what she was doing and how she was adjusting so that I could know if I needed to do something else. And so as I watched her over the next couple of days, she did something that was so amazing to me. I mean, it just blew my mind. I watched my plant, over the next few days, I watched her adjust herself. I literally watched her, and for you plant folks, this may be something that you guys are so normal to. I haven't been growing plants for only about 2 years, so this is all new to me. So that's the reason why it just amazed me. But I watched her literally adjust herself, all of her leaves, all of her. She went from where there was no light, and she completely adjusted herself to where she moved her whole body to where there was all light. And she began to grow even more. She adjusted herself completely to the light. And it literally fascinated me. I mean, when I tell y'all, it became a thing that I just monitored for about a week and a half, because I was like, this plant is literally not changing and moving and adjusting. But she actually was. She was adjusting herself and making herself and situating herself towards what she loved, which was the light. And as I was thinking about that, and as I was noticing that, I realized Bella understands the concept of pivoting. She understands that. And there was so much to learn from that. And then a few weeks after that, I started going through some things myself. And I realized that the thing that happened is the thing that happens to all of us. We get into a point in our life where we're at a crossroad, where we're at a crossroad, a point where we have to decide which way are we going to go, because life has become uncomfortable, if you want to say. And I found myself in this crossroad in life. I was at this point where I was completely uncomfortable. I was actually reverting back to some of my old habits. I had found myself overeating, or eating out of my emotions. I had found myself, getting locked back into books. I had started just doing some other things, that some engaging in some other behaviors that I was so accustomed to, that I knew represented prior actions that I did not want. And I was stuck. That's exactly what it was. I was stuck. I didn't know which way to go. I didn't know what to do. And so I was sitting there and I was thinking about it. And in particular, I was thinking about Bella and how she adjusted to her situation. And I remember being at that crossroad, and I had started journaling. One of our pillars that we talk about is awareness and being intentional and being consistent. And all of those consist of doing some journaling, asking yourself some questions. And I remember journaling and really writing down and really assessing where I was, what was going on, and how it was affecting me. And at this point, I remember God saying to me, you have to make a decision. You have to make a decision if you're going to go forward or if you're going to go backwards. And as I was writing and as I was contemplating what I was going to do, I got to thinking, and you guys can attest to this. When we get to these points in life, these crossroads in life, these pivotal points in life, we have to do one of our pillars, become aware. Ask ourselves, where are we? Where am I? Where am I? What's going on? What does this situation look like? How am I feeling in this moment? How am I adjusting? Am I actually going forward or am I going backwards? And as I was thinking about that, and I was trying to figure out, Shawnte, which way are you gonna go? What are you gonna do? Because you're gonna have to make a decision. You can sit in the thing that's comfortable and familiar, or you can walk towards the unfamiliar. What are you going to do? And there was a lot of back and forth and assessment in my head, but I got to thinking about Bella, and I got to thinking about the lessons learned, or the lessons that Bella taught me when she was at this place of change. And I want to talk about those a little bit tonight with you all, and we're going to have a discussion about them, and we're going to talk about them in our question and answer. But some of the things that Bella taught me. one of the first things that I realized from Bella when I was trying to figure out my next move in this place of, in this crossroad, I realized that Bella did not complain about what was happening to her. My beautiful girl did not get into her feelings and start complaining, some of her leaves falling off and dying and stuff like that. She didn't start complaining. She wasn't whining about, oh, this is where I am in life. And this is just driving me insane and da, da, da. She didn't do none of that. She did not complain at all, which made me stop and realize, Shawnte, are you complaining about where you are? Complaining mode. I was complaining about the place that I was in, and I had to remember Bella. She didn't complain. She did not complain. What she did was she became aware of where she was and what was going on. And that's, when we talk about pivoting, those two things are very essential to get us to move forward. Figure out where you are. First, there's no point in complaining. Change happens. Things happen. Muhammad Ali has a saying, and we say it all the time, because you guys know that I box. We say it all the time. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. So you have this, you have this great grand plan of how you think things are gonna go, and then boom, things change. So you can't sit there and complain about the fact, oh, they hit me in the face, or oh, this is not fair. You have to, hey, this is where we are. This is where we are. Where exactly are you? She realized I'm not in the place that I was. So a change has been made, and recognizing, becoming aware of what the situation looks like. And that's one of the things that I had to do while I was at this crossroad, and realizing that I'm actually at a crossroad right now. Something has to change. And I can either complain and stay where I am, or I can make the decision to move forward, to grow forward. Bella could have made the decision to complain and basically die where she was, or drop all of her leaves off. Y'all, she lost not one leaf. I'm just going to tell you that. She lost not one leaf. Not one leaf, got their feelings hurt, absolutely nothing. And this was a big change for her. So she figured out where she was and what was going on. The next thing Bella decided was she wanted to live. She was intentional about growing. She was intentional about growing. I noticed that about her. And I noticed that about her because she started looking for the light. She was intentional about having growth. And that's as I was in this situation, and I was thinking and trying to contemplate what my next move was going to be, or what I was going to do. The question that I had to ask myself, do you want to grow, or do you not? Do you actually want to go forward, or do you want to stay right here? The choice is yours. When you're in the middle of a fight, when I'm boxing and stuff like that, I have to make the decision. Do I want to get knocked out, or do I want to keep moving? Do I want to keep growing? Do I want to win? And so you have to make these decisions. You have to decide that, and you have to be intentional in that. And Bella was intentional about wanting to grow. And I had even myself, are you intentional? Do you want to grow? Because the reality is, Shawnte, if you stay here, nobody's going to blame you, and nobody's going to know. I get that you're tired. I get that you've been working and you've been doing, and you really want to just lay down because you've been working so hard. So nobody's going to fault you on that. The question is, how are you going to feel about yourself in the long run? And so I had to make the decision. I had to decide, do I want to grow, and be intentional about growing? Then I realized Bella, she made the necessary adjustments to absorb what would give her life. It was absolutely amazing, because it's like, because when I talk with my plant, don't think I'm crazy, because I do talk to her. I call some of her leaves that have been with us since the very beginning the grandfather and the grandmother. And so all the new ones, I call them her kids, her grandchildren, great great grandchildren, and different things like that. And it was so funny because the older leaves, they begin to make the adjustment first. It was like they realized that the light is over here. And if we stay right here, we are not going to get what we need. So we're going to move towards the light. And the older leaves begin to move first. And it was as the older leaves begin to move, then the kids and the grandkids and stuff begin to follow the same pattern of movement. But everybody moved. Everybody made the necessary adjustments to absorb what would give them life, because she was intentional as a whole about living. She was intentional about growing. And so that then became, even as I thought about myself and what I was going to do and how I was going to adjust my life and pivot, am I intentional about making the necessary adjustments? Am I willing to do what I have to do? Am I willing to do what I have to do to live, to grow? Am I intentional about it? And it's not always an easy thing to think about, an easy thing to formulate, but it's necessary. Then I watched Bella do another thing. She just began to take action. She didn't wait. For real, my plant, and I know y'all are like, now, Shawnte, there's a whole bunch of stuff you done got from a plant, but plants are really smart and they can really teach us some great lessons, because she did not, it did not take her weeks. It didn't take her months. She didn't sit up and do a whole lot of like, I need to think, I need to do some research, I need to see what this whole environment is going to be, I need to see who's over here, I need to see how long she's going to keep me here. She didn't do any of that. She made a decision. She figured out where she was. She realized she wanted to live. She figured out where the light was, and then she immediately started adjusting to it. She immediately started adjusting to where the light was. She did not take her time. And that's one of the things that we learn when we're boxing. and one of the things I struggle with, because when you are in the middle of a fight, your opponent is not going to wait on you to go do a whole bunch of research and make a whole bunch of decisions about how you're going to show up or how you're going to respond. It's happening right then. And so when you're pivoting in life, when you're at this crossroads, you have to be willing to go ahead and make some decisions. We don't always have the luxury of doing 6 and 7, 8, 9, 10 months of research. Sometimes it requires this split second moment. What do I want? Is this decision taking me closer to where I want to go or further away? Right now, I'm at this crossroad. What am I going to do? I don't have the luxury of going and doing a full field study, asking everybody that I know what their thoughts is. I have to take action right now. And that is exactly what Bella did. She immediately took action. And then the thing that I really loved, and what makes me love her so much, I love all of my plants, but what makes me love her so much is she started to produce from where she was. She started to produce from there. She did not delay. She started having more kids. Now, I think she's a little fast, but she started having more children. And I was just like, okay, because this is exactly how it goes. Because once you decide, you're going to commit and things are going to happen. You're going to start producing from where you are. So you have to decide, am I going to produce good fruit or am I going to produce negative fruit? Am I going to produce according to the place that I want to go, or am I going to produce where I'm continuing to sit? It's all about pivoting. Again, life is always changing for us. There's always movement. There's always things that are going to be going on that are going to shape us. And we have to be able in that moment to decide, What am I going to do? And we don't always have the luxury. We don't always have the luxury of taking a whole bunch of time. We don't. We don't. So as we are, as we are transforming our life, as we are transforming our life, just some things to remember when we're talking about pivoting. And again, pivoting is completely changing the way in which you do something, the way in which you do something. Some things that I want you to remember. You have to build in space for change. Build in space for change. Build in space for things to adjust. Sometimes in life, and I know I've been guilty of it more than anybody, we are so committed to one way. We are so committed to one attitude. We are so committed to one mindset. We are so committed and loyal to one person, one thing, and we don't build in room for change. And so when the time comes where we need to pivot, we haven't made room to pivot. We've made no adjustments for change. So as you build your life, as you work to transform, as you are moving, as you are growing, build in room to change. You don't have to change your purpose. You don't have to change your values. You don't have to change your principles, but build in room to change maybe location, change the how, change the way that you do it. Build in room. Build in room to learn and to grow and to adjust, because that is what you are always going to have to do, because somebody's going to punch back. Something is going to hit you back. And if you are only committed to one way, you're going to have a problem, because what happens when that way becomes blocked? You have to build in room, even though all I'm going is left, all I'm going is left. You may have to take a detour and go right and then get back on left. So build in room to change. The next thing I want you to remember when we're talking about pivoting and how to grow forward is adjust quickly. Adjust quickly. I know, and I am her, and I am she, who loves to take a whole lot of time thinking about things. I got to wait before I make a decision. I got to adjust quickly. And sometimes quickly is not the same day. Sometimes quickly may be a month or 2 months, but other times quickly may be, you got to do it now. You have to do it now. You have to make a decision. When you are in the middle of a fight, your enemy is not going to, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to chill here until you make the decision about what you're going to do and which punch you're going to throw, how you going to come back on me, what you're going to say. No, they're not doing that. When you are in the middle of a fight, you have to be able to see, and you have to be able to adjust the game plan quickly. So make your decision, adjust, be willing to adjust quickly. Don't allow delaying to cause you to miss growth and miss opportunities. The next thing I want to remind you is to keep going, to keep going. Keep going and keep growing. God said that to me a few days ago. Keep going and keep growing. Sometimes when we get to certain points in our life and we begin to feel stuck and we begin to feel frustrated and we feel tired and we feel unmotivated, sometimes we'll just completely stop. When it looks as if things are always, you're staying the same, but everybody else is moving. Sometimes we'll stop. We'll decide to stop growing. We'll decide, I'm just going to stay right here. I'm going to stay in this job. I've just decided that this is good enough. I'm just going to stay right here. But what I want to tell you is when you get into those frustrated points in life, and those moments begin to hit you where you are wondering and you're trying to figure things out. And even when you start You start on patterns of bad behavior like I did. I started back into patterns of bad behavior. And sometimes you I think about myself and how I used to do. I was starting in a cycle of bad behavior, and then I would be like, well, I done started down this path. I might as well just keep going down this path, as opposed to stopping and getting back on track because I felt so bad about what I had done. Well, no, even in that, you pivot, you keep going. Okay, you fell over right there, but keep punching, punch your way out of it, keep moving, keep moving, keep making adjustments and make them quickly. Keep moving, keep moving. If the move left don't work, move right, move left. You keep moving, duck if you have to, man, drop and roll if you have to, do whatever it is that you have to do, but keep moving. Keep moving, because that is how you're going to go forward. That's how you're going to grow. And that's the goal. The goal is to grow from where you are, to move forward. The Bible in Exodus, I think it's 33. God told Moses, get up and go. Go up, go forward. He's challenging us to go forward. God is a moving God. And if you're going to serve him, if you're going to walk with him, you have to always be in motion. So keep moving, keep moving, keep moving, keep adjusting, build in space for change, keep moving, keep moving. Again, don't lose your core values, don't lose your purpose, don't lose your principles, but adjust. This needs to be tweaked. I need to pivot over here. I need to move over here. I need to adjust this, and be willing to do it quickly. And the final thing I want you guys to remember when we're talking about pivoting, and we're talking about growing forward, creating a positive environment, creating positive change. Don't be afraid to leave people who are no longer going in the same direction as you. I know that's a rough one. I know. She knows it better than anybody. But do not be afraid to leave folks who are not going in the same direction as you. Because pivoting requires, and change is necessary for us all. And a lot of people will come into your life and they will literally be adamant about you staying exactly where you are because it benefits them. When you've been called to grow, and it's okay to grow. It is. It's okay to grow. And just because you leave them don't mean that you have to sever relationships with them or stop talking to them and different things like that. It's just a higher purpose, and I have to keep moving. I have to keep adjusting. So I can't sit here with you on step one when you're not making changes. I've elevated to step two. It's time for me to pivot. It's time for me to go higher. Keep going. It's time for me to go. And I said this a few weeks ago. They'll look up and they'll see how far you come. And the only thing that you want to hope that they'll start moving. She didn't stop. So don't stop. Don't be afraid to leave people who are no longer going in the same direction as you. Sometimes in life, and I've been guilty of it so many times, you want to assign people roles and keep them in a certain place. And people are not everybody is meant to go the full journey. Some people are only meant for just this part of the journey. There are some people who are meant to go to full distance. They have the wherewithal, and others are not. And so you have to know that and be willing to make that adjustment and grow forward. So just a recap real quick as we get ready to close out this segment and get ready to go into our questions and answers. I hope you guys got some for me. But just a few things that I want you to remember. Build in space for change. Adjust quickly. Keep going. And do not be afraid to let people go who are not moving in the same direction as you. Pivot. When life happens, be willing to pivot, be willing to move so that you can grow forward instead of backwards. Thank you guys. Thank y'all so much for taking the time even with us, we pivoted tonight. We did a pivot. When things happen, you got to be willing to move. You got to be willing to move. I want to remind you guys as we wrap up, I want to remind you of our show next week. You do not want to miss our episode next week. We will be talking with hair care specialist Tamika Seaton about more than just hair and how she helps women reclaim their whole self. So we're going to be finishing up that whole segment, and I'm really excited about it. So you guys do not want to miss it. I want to remind you all about our 75-day challenge. We are still in it. I think we're on like 36, and we are being consistent in it. And so please make sure that you continue to join us. Make sure you hashtag NexLevel75. I also want to remind you guys to go and download Next Level magazine. Issue 1 and 2 is out right now, and we are getting ready to release our next 2 issues. They're going to be phenomenal, and I'm so excited about them. And then finally, because you guys enjoy our talk show so much, and y'all know that I enjoy talking and interviewing people, I want to remind you all to catch our podcast. New episodes released every Wednesday night on our YouTube channel and other streaming platforms as we interview different guests about ways to help you elevate, grow to the next level. So here at Next Level, we have all sorts of things going on, and we're connecting with all sorts of people to bring you the things that you need. Do not forget to join in and check out some of the other shows on the Win-Win Women Network as we work to help you win in life. That is our goal, helping you win and helping you find balance in chaos. I want to thank you all for joining me on tonight and being patient with me. I want to let you all know that I love you, that I appreciate you, and I cannot wait to see you next week.